It had been many years since the day Jacob left his uncle Laban's home in the distant land of Haran, with only his wits, his faith, and his whole family and properties by his side. After years of deception and labor, the time had finally come for him to return to Canaan, the land promised to his fathers, Abraham and Isaac. With his family, his beloved Rachel, Leah, and their handmaids, and his 12 sons, Jacob journeyed from the land of Haran. Their flocks and herds stretched across the desert like a moving sea of dust, each day drawing them closer to home. But no matter how far they traveled, Jacob carried the weight of his past, especially the pain of his broken relationship with his brother Esau. When the family finally reached the foothills of Edom, near the territory of Esau, who dwelled in the land of Share in Edom, Jacob's heart was heavy with fear. Would his brother remember the deception, the betrayal of his birthright, and the theft of his blessing? For years, Jacob had lived under the shadow of that old sin, and now, after a long silence, he sent messengers to inform his brother of his coming. So Esau, his brother, on receiving the news, came out to meet him, bringing with him an army of 400 men. Jacob feared the worst. Jacob, out of fear, divided his family with his flocks, herds, and Carmel into 2 groups, thinking to himself that if the first group faced attack from his brother Esau, then the second group would escape, also hoping to find a way to appease his brother's wrath, to somehow restore what had been broken between them. He devised a plan by sending gifts of 200 male goats, 200 ewes, 20 rams, 30 female camels with their young, 0 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 male donkeys. A head for his family, and prayed to God on every step as they drew closer to Edom. Yet, to his astonishment, Esau's face was filled not with anger, but with grace. When the 2 brothers met, Esau embraced Jacob with a warmth that melted the years of separation. "I have enough, my brother," Esau said, offering peace. "Let us live in harmony." Jacob, trembling with emotion, bowed low before his brother. He had sought Esau's forgiveness not by words alone, but with gifts of cattle and goods, seeking to repair the breach. Esau's heart, it seemed, had been softened, and with a tear in his eye, Jacob felt the burden of his past finally lift. And so, after many years of traveling from Haran, Jacob and his family settled in Shechem, a city nestled in the heart of Canaan, where the land was fertile and the waters plentiful. It seemed like a peaceful place, the air thick with the promise of new beginnings. Jacob purchased a plot of land from the sons of Hamor, the Hivite, and set up his tents there. He named the place El Elohe Israel, the God of Israel, marking it as a place of new beginnings and a place of worship. For a time, the family lived in peace, watching their flocks graze beneath the clear skies. The sons of Jacob grew strong and bold, each one carrying the legacy of their father, though in different ways. There was Reuben, the eldest, whose heart was heavy with the responsibility of leadership. Judah, the fourth-born, who would one day rise to greatness. And then there were Simeon and Levi, 2 sons whose hearts burned with a fierceness that none could deny. But as peace often is, it was fragile. One sunny day, Dinah, Jacob's daughter, wandered into the city of Shechem. She was young, full of life, and curious about the world around her. But what awaited her was a fate she had not foreseen. Shechem, the son of Hamor, the prince of the city, saw Dinah and, overcome by his lust, took her. He defiled her, and in doing so, he shattered her innocence, and with it, the peace that had settled over Jacob's family. Prince Shechem sent a letter to Jacob. There he wrote of his regrets and offered to marry Dinah, for he loved her. Dinah's brothers, upon hearing what had happened to their sister, were consumed with righteous anger. The fire that burned in their hearts was fierce, Simeon and Levi, in particular, saw not only the violation of their sister, but a deeper insult to their family, their honor, and their God. Their hearts were set ablaze, and their minds spun with plans for retribution. They would not let this trespass go unpunished. In their anger, Simeon and Levi devised a plan. They went to Hamor and Shechem, offering a deceitful peace. "If you and all the men of your city are circumcised, we will allow you to marry our sister." Shechem, desperate to keep Dinah as his wife, agreed, thinking that this was the price of love. But as the men of Shechem lay in the throes of their pain, recovering from the circumcision, Simeon and Levi struck. With swords drawn, they descended upon the city. The sound of metal clashing against flesh filled the air, and the ground was stained red with the blood of men who had once trusted them. They killed Shechem and his father Hamor, and they took Dinah, now silent, back from the house of her captor. The slaughter did not end there. Jacob's other sons arrived upon the scene, and the spoils of war were theirs to take. Sheep, cattle, donkeys, women, and children were taken as plunder. The city of Shechem lay in ruins, its people broken, and its once proud walls reduced to rubble. When Jacob learned of what had been done, his heart was torn. The peace of their family, the fragile harmony they had found in Shechem, was now shattered. His sons had spilled blood, not in the name of justice, but in the fire of vengeance. And now, Jacob feared that the Canaanites and Perizzites, the tribes who lived around them, would join forces and destroy them. "You have brought trouble on me," Jacob said, his voice trembling. "You have made me a stench to the Canaanites and Perizzites. We are few in number. If they gather together and attack us, we and our household will be destroyed." But Simeon and Levi, the men of war, looked back at their father with defiant eyes. "Should he treat our sister like a prostitute?" they asked, their voices full of righteous indignation. They had done what they believed was right. But in their rage, they had not seen the consequences, nor the bitter taste of their actions. They had paid with blood for a sin that could not be undone. And so, many years went by. Jacob advanced in age. So did his children. Jacob lay on his deathbed. He called his sons to him one by one. He spoke to them of their futures, of the legacy they would leave behind. When it came time for him to speak to Simeon and Levi, his words were heavy, laced with the weight of regret. "Simeon and Levi are brothers," Jacob said, his voice sorrowful. "Their swords are weapons of violence. Let me not enter their council. Let me not join their assembly. For they have killed men in their anger, and hamstrung oxen as they pleased. Cursed be their anger so fierce, and their fury so cruel. I will scatter them in Jacob, and disperse them in Israel." The curse hung in the air like a dark cloud, one that would shape the future of their tribes. Simeon's descendants would be scattered, their inheritance diminished, lost among the other tribes. The tribe of Levi, though scattered as well, would be set apart by God for a different purpose, not to own land, but to serve in the temple, to be the priests who stood between the people and God. The story of Simeon and Levi is one of passion, blood, and regret. It is a tale that reminds us of the dangers of unchecked anger, the kind that burns so fiercely it blinds us to the cost of our actions. Simeon and Levi were men of honor, they believed, but in their violence, they sowed seeds of destruction that would haunt them for generations. Yet, even in their curse, there was a glimmer of redemption. For the Levites, though scattered, would be set apart for a sacred task, to serve the people of Israel in the house of God. What began in anger and vengeance would, in time, become a blessing, a priesthood that would offer sacrifices for the sins of the people, standing in the gap between the holy God and the sinful nation. This story teaches us that our anger can destroy not only those around us, but ourselves. And yet, in our darkest moments, there is still the possibility of redemption if we turn our hearts toward God. Even in curses, there can be blessings, for the grace of God is greater than any sin we commit. In the end, the story of Simeon and Levi is a lesson of the power of mercy over wrath, and the call to seek peace, for only in peace can we truly find the blessings of God. Tell me in the comment why Levi's curse turned into a blessing and not Simeon.